Hi, this is James from Tabletop Gaming Guild, and today we're going to look at the Quacks of Quedlinburg. This is published by North Star Games, and it is a 2 to 4 player game. In the Quacks of Quedlinburg, you're playing as a quack, and you're trying to brew your best snake oil, or basically elixir, and convince people to purchase it, and be the most successful alchemist, quack, person that brews things at the festival. So let's go ahead down to the table here. I'll give you a general overview of how the game plays, and then we'll come back and I'll give you my final thoughts. Alright, so this is Quacks of Quedlinburg. You get a lot of components in with the game. You're going to actually get 4 of these boards. I didn't put them all out. So you're going to have up to 4 players in here. And you're going to have this nice player board. You're going to have all these tokens here, or all these cards here for all your different tokens. And you get tons of tokens and your fortune teller cards and your rubies. To start out the game, you're going to look at this little board here. You're going to start with 1 spider, 1 pumpkin, and 4 1-poppers, 2 2-poppers, and 1 3-popper, and you have that in the bag. And what you're going to do throughout the game is you're trying to get the most points possible before the 9th round. And to start out the game, other than getting those here, you're going to pick one of each of these different types. So other than the pumpkin, which you are always going to play with, you're going to have to pick like 4 different options for each of these things. Now, in the rule book, it has like a starter suggestion for it, but you can pick one of 4 different mandrakes. So this is the mandrakes here. And that's what you'll be playing with, and these will be the values of the mandrakes. And then you'll do the same thing for the ghosts. You'll pick one of the 2 different ghosts, and that'll be the value of the ghosts that you play with for the game, the values. And then the same thing with mushrooms. There's 2 mushrooms in there that both have, pretty different powers to them. And you'll continue on until, and that's just a little bit of a mess here, but I'm just going to go over what the gameplay itself. You'll discover while you're playing the game what each of these can do, and I would suggest if you're teaching the game that you just read off these, and in the back of the rule book it does give a better explanation of how these function. But a couple things to keep in mind on one of these is going to be this. This is the value that they cost. This is 5, 9, and 15, and the values are different on each of these ingredients, and some of them only have 1 value, 10, so it only has a 1 chip with this. So you're going to look at the value. And then some of them have to deal with, or all of them have to do, if they have increased values of chips, they can have better value moving on. These ones here, so if you pull a 1 mushroom, it's going to move 1 space on your potion track, which I'll show you in a second. 2 mushrooms going to move 2, and 4 mushrooms going to move 4. But these guys are pretty cool because when they pulled, if you had a white chip put down, they're going to move that much further. So the best you could do is if you had a 4 chip, this, it would be moving 4 spaces, and then a 3 white chip beforehand, this is going to move 7 spaces. So this one's pretty cool. And all of them have like really cool things, except for the pumpkin. The pumpkin's sad, but the pumpkin's just a 1 movement ingredient. Until later on with the expansions. You get a 6 pumpkin, but that's not with the base game. All right, so how do rounds look? Well, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to take a look at what round you're on. So in this round here, no one can purchase mandrakes, which are going to be these yellow guys, and no one can purchase ghosts yet, which are these guys. You actually have to get to that round to be able to purchase them, have them unlocked. But they can purchase any of the other ones. The first round, what we're going to simply do is someone's going to flip one of the fortune teller cards, and you're going to read it off. And this says if you have 2 or more rat tails, which is not great on the first round, you're going to tails in your cauldron at the start of the round. You may roll the die once. So the die, which we'll get into in a second, gives you bonuses. So on this guy here, this is 1 point. This is moving your water droplet forward. I'll show you why that's cool in a second. And then you also have gain a ruby. So now that that's taken care of, you're going to start your round. So at the start of the round, I'm just going to draw out of this bag, and I'm going to place, I drew 2 by accident. You're going to place this one next to the water droplet to start. This is a 1, so it'll be in 1 space. Then you'll draw another one, and this will move 2. Now, one of the things that's with this game is you can never have over 7 points worth of these white chips. If you do, your potion explodes. One thing you can do to help prevent this, if you wanted to, I can flip this over 1 time, and I can return one of these to my bag and draw something else. And I drew it again anyway. So I'm going to keep on doing this, and this is a little bit of a push your luck. So you have there, for white chips, there's a 1, 2, and 3 in there, but there's only 1, 3. So you're going to try to see how far you can make it along this track without exploding. It could be a trap. So right here, right now, I have 6 points worth of these white chips. If I draw another one, and it's a 2 or a 3, which I know it can't be a 2 because I only have 2 in my bag of the 2s, but it could be the 3, then I'll explode. And if I explode, then I'm only going to get one of 2 different bonuses at the end of the round. I'm either going to get points or buy stuff. But I'm at this point here, and you see how it has this little ruby here? So always when you're at the end of the round, you're going to look at what you're next to. So I'm next to this, so this would actually give me 9 money, 1 point, and a ruby. So I'm pretty good with that. Now, after everyone goes, which is this is simultaneously, then you're going to look at this track. The person who made it farthest along the track is going to roll this die, and they'll get the bonuses. So here's like 2 points they'll get. Next, you're going to take a look at these specific tokens, because these specific tokens give bonuses. So this one here, if you have the same as everyone else, or at least no one else has more than you, you're going to get the water droplet moving forward once. If you have more than everyone else, then you're going to get a ruby and move the water droplet forward. And other, or if you pick this side, you'll get other bonuses. So look at those, see if anyone gets it. Look to see if the spot that they're scoring on there or getting money from, or either or has a ruby on it. If you do gain a ruby, then you're going to decide if you didn't explode, you'll get both. But if you did explode, you're going to pick between getting points or buying more chips. So here you'll get the points equal to that. So I would go up 9 points. And then I would go to the buying phase, and then turn order, you would buy tokens. So the first player will be flipping this, but and then it'll go to the player to the left. That's just to make sure that if you run out of tokens, there's not a problem, which you can run out of some of the numbered tokens. So basically, I'm going to take my value 9, and I can get up to 2 different ones. I can't be 2 of the same, but I can get up to 2 different ones and 2 different colored tokens, ingredients, and purchase those now, and I put them into my bag. After you buy your chips, then you're going to take a look here. You started the game out with 1 ruby, but like I said, I would have gained a 2nd ruby. And I can do one of 2 things. I can either move my water droplet forward with 2 rubies, or with 1 ruby, I can flip this back. Now let's say with 2 rubies, I move my water droplet forward. What that means is, for the rest of the game, my starting point is going to be right here. So I will be further along this track. So moving that water droplet forward is really, really good. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to basically take a look at where you are compared to another player. So let me set up an example here. I'm going to get another player chip out, and you're going to see how many rat tails that you get. So let's say the blue player is right here. The yellow player is way up here. So this blue player would get 1, 2, 3. Now let's go ahead and switch this. So the yellow player gets 3, so I can show you what that looks like. I would take this rat tail marker and I would go 1, 2, 3, and this is my new starting position for the next round. After the round's over, you'll clear the rat tail out when you clear out your ingredients and put them back in your bag. But for right now, I get a nice little bonus because I'm farther behind. You'll also move this marker forward, and this will now allow the mandrakes to be available. And you will flip a new fortune teller card, so a new first player, and read it off, and everyone will get that bonus. And there's a lot of different fortune teller cards in here. Your purple ones are at the beginning of the round, and your blue ones are at the end. And a couple other notes are, once you get to the 6th round, you're going to get an extra white chip. And at the end of the game, you aren't going to be spending rubies to move your water droplet forward, because that doesn't matter. What you're going to be doing instead, and you're not going to be purchasing anything, so you're going to be converting your purchasing into points. You'll be converting your rubies, every 2 rubies, into points. And the person with the most points at the end of the game wins. So that, in a really quick nutshell, is Quacks of Quedlinburg. There's a lot more nuancy things that you need to learn, especially with all these different player boards. And the more that you play this, the more you're going to learn these player boards. They're pretty quick, pretty easy, but there's, like I said, there's 4 different ones to pick from. So there's a lot of replayability in this game. Just this base game has a ton of replayability in it. The last thing I'll mention on here is you can play on the advanced player board side. And all this is you're going to get an extra little water droplet here that you're going to do. And instead of moving your water droplet up forward for different effects in here, you can move this guy forward instead. And if you do, when it covers over one of these things, you'll just get that bonus. So he'll get a ruby, a point, a white skull ingredient token, 2 points, 1 moth token, the 2-point mushroom, just and so on and so forth. So that's the advanced side. So you can make a decision on whether you want to move your water droplet forward here to make it easier for you to move further along this track, or do you want to move along this track and get your bonuses. One other thing to mention here too is you can't actually go past here. So once you hit here, this is the max. So you'll get 35 buying power and 15 points. So let's go ahead back up to the table here, and I'll give you my final thoughts on Quacks of Quedlinburg. So I love Quacks of Quedlinburg. It is a great 2 to 4 player game. With a couple things I didn't mention is I don't take turns pulling from the bag. You can do that the entire time for your first game if you want. I don't feel that's necessary. If you want, you can watch over and just watch some other player pull their things out of the ingredients out of the bag if you want. I also don't, it recommends after that, and you do the normal game, that the final round you take turns pulling from the pot. Don't do that either. We just do it simultaneously. There's nothing wrong with that. It does mention you can do that. It speeds up the game immensely doing simultaneous turns. So I think you're going to find more enjoyment from just taking the simultaneous turns. If people have a question, let them ask. Just pause yourself, answer the question, and then continue. I think you'll have more enjoyment playing multiple games over a shorter period of time than really long games and having less of them. So this game is all about having fun. There's a lot of luck in this game. You can have some strategy in what you pick and trying to see if you can try to make combos that could be pulled from the bag, but in the end it's luck. And it has a wonderful feeling of, hey, I could have done this. Maybe if I bought these things, I could have done it. That is wonderful. This is a wonderful, wonderful game for that. I also like the little rat tail catch-up mechanism. I think that's really nice. It also lends to a couple strategies that you can use in the game, which is great because I love games that have multiple different viable strategies. And one of those is just let your pot explode. So for the first couple rounds, just let your pot explode. Go as far down that track as you could possibly go so you can get the highest buying that you can get to get the nicest chips that you could possibly get. And let your other opponents get head and points. And then that gives you rat tails that you can use for when you're ready to try to shoot ahead. Does that work? It can. You still have to be very careful, and you have to make good choices on what ingredients you're going to get. So like still in this game, you're going to probably need to pick a strategy where you're like, I'm going to use these 2 ingredients and try to combo them off each other, or the little poppers, the light chips that pull, I'm going to try to make something happen off of those. So there are meaningful decisions both ways. You can absolutely win by just being like, I am playing the best possible. I'm going to not explode every turn, and I'm going to just gain points the best and most efficient way I can. That is a very viable strategy. So right there you have 2 really great strategies. You have lots of different strategies on what chips you're going to pick to purchase to put in your bag. You're going to have a lot of different things that you can think about during the game. This leads to a game that is dynamic, fun, and like I said, if you take simultaneous turns, it goes pretty fast. So you're at the end of the game, you're like, wow, you got 110 points. I got 100 points. Let's do this again, because I think that if I would have bought those ingredients instead, I would have done better. So I love that feeling. I love the feeling of someone just like trying to push their luck and then making it, and then everyone cheers, or try to push your luck and you don't make it and you're like, no. Great game. That's my thoughts on the Quacks of Quedlinburg. Thank you for watching.